Recently, Khabib Nurmagomedov announced that he would be stepping away from coaching MMA to spend more time with his family. Khabib will not corner Islam Makhachev for his upcoming fight against Alexander Volkanovski. In a recent interview with MMAfighting.com, Volk says he doesn't want to hear any excuses regarding Khabib after he beats Islam. Volk went on to say, "I like it. I'm all good with it, especially moving up in the lightweight title and all that type of stuff, and then fighting someone like this, again. We want this for legacy. I never used to talk like this. If you remember, I never talked about legacy fights and all this type of stuff, but now I'm all about it. Now I'm all for the big fights. I love the underdog story. I love being the underdog and people saying I'm undersized and all that type of stuff. It just adds to the story and it's going to add to the victory. There are going to be a lot of people that are going to doubt me, which I love, and all that type of stuff. I'm undersized, he's too good at the Dagestani wrestling and all that type of stuff. That's good. But just remember that. Remember that. Don't change the narrative when I get my hand raised. That's something that I need people to understand because it's funny. People will sit there and say all this stuff. If something happens and I win, oh yeah, Makhachev didn't fight anybody. It was his first defense. All of a sudden they're taking away the victory and acting like he isn't the person they said he was before the fight. Just remember what you're saying he is now. You're putting him on that pedestal. Keep him there even if I get my hand raised. Don't change that bullshit. On Khabib, Volk continued, "I guess I was surprised at the start, but it doesn't matter. Islam is still going to turn up. I know people push narratives and all that type of stuff. At the end of the day, Islam is a great fighter. He's the one who's going in there and doing his work, and Khabib will tell you that himself. So again, if my hand is raised, don't be complaining. These are excuses. He's fought plenty of times with Khabib not in his corner. He's done it before and he's a great fighter. He's going to turn up and show up in the octagon anyway, even if Khabib is there or not. So I'm preparing for the same Islam that I've seen. And again, if things go how I plan on them going, don't start changing narratives and start using all these excuses, because it's the guy that's in front of him that's the problem. Obviously, we know where the advantages are going to be for me and where the advantages he's going to have. He wants it on the ground and I want it on the feet. It's pretty simple. And for people who are going to be like, oh, his striking is underrated, it definitely is. If you're looking at just combos and all that stuff, yeah, it's not the prettiest. It's not like he has the best setups and things like that, but he's still calculated. He's not going to take unnecessary risks. He's not going to put himself too much out of position the majority of the time. Maybe when he chooses to strike and things like that, he does, but a lot of the time he's a bit defensive and he'll wait for the right time to shoot. So he's calculated, the same as Khabib was in a lot of these Dagestani wrestlers and these high-level grapplers, which is great. But at the same time, you've got to remember my striking. I understand all of these things. I can't give too much away, but you can do all these things. I'm aware of what you want to do. I'm aware of the patterns. I totally understand the game. I really do. I understand my style. I understand your style. I've got a great team. We've got the knowledge. And not just that, I've got the fight IQ to really capitalize on things that we see. So there's definitely things that I can capitalize on, and I will. So I'm prepared to go wherever it needs to go. You ain't going to see me panic." Henry Cejudo explains why Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski should be getting way more hype than it is.
So Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev is not getting the attention it deserves. This is a super fight. This isn't just a fight where you're gonna get, a guy who has fought somebody for the fourth time, or you're getting a guy who's pound for pound against a guy who's number 2 pound for pound. And why isn't it not getting that media buzz as it should? This is a clash of styles. This is a guy who's been able to beat everybody 145 pounds and do it very viciously. This is a guy 155 pounds that they call him the second coming of Khabib, and he has to be able to fit into those shoes and eventually become pound for pound. Is Islam as good as people are saying? How is it that is striking? Is he going to be able to take down Volkanovski and beat him up to a pole? Will Volkanovski be able to keep him on his feet and eventually knock him out? Tune in. You guys need to watch that pay-per-view because that pay-per-view is going to be fire. Triple C is out.
Ray Longo on the Anakin Florian podcast breaks down why he believes Alexander Volkanovski can pull off a victory over Islam Makhachev.
I think Volkanovski could pull this off. I mean, he hasn't taken a load of damage, right? He's an intelligent fighter, and he is a fire hydrant. I remember, I think when Matt fought Ivan Menjivar, he said, and Matt's jiu-jitsu, Ken, was always on point, especially back then. He said the guy would reclaim God. He goes, his legs were so short, he had never experienced that before. And he was just, he was just, going right back to God. I think that was the thing. But the point being is that because he was so short, it posed a problem in certain areas. And I think that's what we're going to see here. Like, Kenny, you're mentioning range. I'm not sure of Islam is the range. He's like that long, rangy fighter where he knows how to dictate the range with his range, right? He's more of a grappler, right. So he's got to get in too.
Yes.
I don't know what happens with this. I really think this is a great matchup, and you're right. He's against the cage. Where do you go? 3 feet below the octagon to grab this guy? Like, especially here in Volkanovski, I'm really leaning towards him. This is a very winnable fight. For a 5-rounder, very winnable fight.
Daniel Cormier hints that Israel Adesanya accepted a rematch with Alex Pereira so soon because he didn't want Pereira facing somebody else and losing. The rematch between the two goes down at UFC 287 on April 8th. DC on his YouTube channel went on to say 2 factors. Why is it happening now? And for what reason is it happening? 1, obviously we all knew that it would be at Israel Adesanya's decision or discretion whether or not he would get a championship fight. From the moment he lost, I was saying and screaming from the rooftops, if anyone deserves an immediate rematch, it's Israel Adesanya. Because of what he had done in the middleweight division, and honestly what he had done to start his UFC and mixed martial arts career. He deserves a rematch, and honestly, for Alex Pereira, it would seem to be the best matchup for him in terms of the first title defense. Maybe he's worried that if Pereira fights somebody else, he loses. Izzy still holds a ton of cards, but I just question whether or not the decisions being made are based, or the timing of the decision is based on this newfound push that Alex has been experiencing because of Jamal Hill being the champion and beating his mentor and training partner in Glover Teixeira. It just didn't feel like this was in the works before. Dana White just announced that Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler will officially be the next coaches for The Ultimate Fighter.
We just confirmed the coaches for season 31 of The Ultimate Fighter. Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler will go head-to-head as the coaches of The Ultimate Fighter, Team McGregor versus Team Chandler. This season premieres Tuesday, May 30th and runs through Tuesday, August 15th on ESPN The Network and ESPN+. Then, at the end of the season, McGregor and Chandler will fight live on ESPN+ pay-per-view, and I do not have a date or a location for that, but we will announce it soon.
And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post future ones. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. These comments are in reference to Islam Makhachev saying that he's unhappy with the promotion for UFC 284. The first one says, I've been seeing more promotions for the Slap FC than anything. Someone needs to slap some sense into Dana. All the fans are expressing how they don't want to see promotion for Slap FC, and instead of realizing we don't want it, he's getting offended and firing back like the fans are personally attacking him. The second one's from Nathan. It says, I'm Australian and I've seen more about Alex de Minaur's straight set loss to Novak than I've seen about Alexander Volkanovski's chance to become champ. No advertising or media attention even in Australia. And the final one's from Javier. It says, Dana out here promoting Power Slap instead of promoting potentially one of the best fights in UFC history. Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured on the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. If you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen to get caught up. And make sure to go subscribe to our second channel where we post our exclusive MMA interviews.